Hello, everybody. J. Average Vintage Collector here with Cardboard Coach Neal and Rusty Vintage Cards. Thanks for joining with us today. We decided to get together and do a little video. This could be a regular thing or a semi-regular thing or not. We're just kind of hanging out and discussing a topic or two that we've decided to talk about. The three of us are here today to kind of cover something new that's kind of come around. Jeremy Lee developed a little sliding scale to help people define who they are as a collector or know a little bit more about yourself as a collector, and then see how other people collect. There's been a lot of talk in the hobby lately about where people stand as far as values or how they collect, so Jeremy kind of developed this test to kind of show where you would fall in the category of how you collect. And he came up with a couple of different, or about 7 different archetypes that you could fall into. Rusty, Coach, and myself all took this, and we're going to talk a little bit today about where we stand and does it really, is it really specific as to how we collect? How accurate is it? And I think that we're probably all in the agreement that it fits each of us pretty well the way that we ended up taking this. So, Coach, you want to talk a little bit first just about what your thoughts was about this hobby spectrum exercise, I guess?
Yeah, sure. Hey, thanks for having me on, Jay. Rusty, how you doing?
I'm great.
So I first heard about this, the hobbyspectrum.com, which is, I think, what it's called.
We'll link it. Yeah, we'll link it.
Yep. And I saw it on John 380's Kid channel, and I like taking assessments. I everything from personality profiles to, where I fit in the political affiliation, these type of assessments I find intriguing. And so when I heard about this, I signed up. I got the code probably a day or two later. Mm-hmm. And it said, it should take about 10 to 15 minutes. For me, I took about 20, a little bit more, because some of the questions, and there were 50 of them. So it was pretty detailed. But if I remember, there were 5 or 6 that were kind of tough. A lot of the questions, I knew what the answer was right away from the choices given. Some of them, a little bit tricky. So took a little bit extra time, and I got my score.
How about you? And do you think that it kind of was pretty accurate assessment for you?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
Okay. Rusty, how about you?
So I've taken, it's a little bit of a hobby personality assessment, and I've taken quite a few personality assessments over the years. And sometimes when you're reading through those questions, you think, how the heck is this going to correlate to anything that makes any difference, that makes any sense? And surprisingly, some of these things come out really accurate as you're reading through it. You're going, yep, that nails it. And that's what I felt whenever I read this assessment. It was just spot on in so many ways. So yeah, I was, again, same with what Neal said. I took a little bit of time with it. It took me a little bit more than 10 to 15 minutes, just because I was wanting to make sure that I was answering accurately, and I put some thought into quite a few of those questions. But yeah, I was surprised with the results and how accurate I thought it was.
Good. So Jeremy has kind of we don't want to kind of show the whole thing, so we're not going to give too much information. We're not going to give the detailed reports of how we did it. We would definitely highly recommend that anybody that's out there that hasn't already done this, please follow that link and do it, because you will be kind of surprised, maybe, or not surprised at the results, but just the way that it gives you the result and the detail that it gives you about how you collect. It's pretty cool. It's pretty eye-opening, and it is kind of like a personality assessment, which, again, I've also taken those as well. And you're right. You guys are right. You wonder how these questions, they can make this conclusion, right? And how accurate this conclusion can be. And it was pretty, it was pretty accurate on that part for me. So I guess what we'll do is kind of give an overview. So there were 7 archetypes that you could fall into. Okay. So there would be a purist, the nostalgic collector, the precisionist, the hybrid collector, the builder, the operator, and the tycoon. Now, this wasn't. I don't think the intention was to bring value, how much you value your collection. I know that that word has been tossed around a lot lately, and we're not here to discuss, I don't think, that part of it. But what I will say is that the scale is out of 100, and you score a certain number and then are put into one of those archetypes. And depending on how high your score is, what those results kind of indicate is that you are more on the value. The higher you score, the more you look into value, or the more you put into value. And what we find, I think I would assume most of those people that are up towards the top are going to be people that are constantly selling, or sellers just in particular. And then the lower that you score, you don't really, you just collect because you love to collect. I think that's really kind of, if there could be a description, and I know it's a broad range, but that's kind of where how this works. So I'm gonna share my screen real quick, show you my results, but just the what I scored and what category I fell into, and it will also show that scale that we just kind of talked about. So I'll put this up here real quick. So as you can see, I scored a 5 on this. Okay, and this scale again is out of 100, I believe. This means that I'm a purist, that I am just collecting pretty much to collect. You can see this scale down here at the bottom here is really just, if I go over here, the scale down here, I score that score is pretty low. And then you can see all the different archetypes as they go. And it pretty much says collects for connection. And I think that is relatively true for me. So that is how your score will appear on your screen after you've taken this test. And there is much more information on this, which we're not going to share right now, but we will kind of talk about those types of things. So I do collect for connection. I am definitely not a person that's trying to build the most expensive collection. And I've got some examples of some things of how I collect, and, showing kind of where I'm at as a collector, and who I do collect. So I love having superstars in my collection, just like everybody else, but that's not the main focus of my collection. I was able to add a couple Mickey Mantles, both from 1964, just to have a Mickey Mantle in my collection. And they're not in the best shape. They're just, there. I would love to have a Jackie Robinson in my collection, but it's not really on my priority list. For me personally, where I'm at right now, I love history and I love cards. So my Battle of the Bulge veteran collection, players that fought in World War II, but specifically Battle of the Bulge, is kind of one of my top priorities, as is just guys that fought in World War II period, which I'll have a new series coming out called Heroes in Uniform. So that's kind of the two main priorities. But history in itself, I also really enjoy early days of boxing history. So I'm kind of like all over the place, but those cards, those players are not typically your super well-known players. So for example, in my Battle of the Bulge, let's see if I can get me onto let's see if I can do this. Bear with me here. Okay. So,
there we go.
Players that I collect that are those Battle of the Bulge guys, right? And again, I'm not really too concerned about condition. I'm just trying to check the box, make sure I have representation of each one of these players. So right here, this is a 48 Bowman, I believe. This is going to be Clarence Mattern. No one's ever heard of Clarence Mattern, but he does have a story. And it'd be guys like Earl Johnson, who just has an amazing story. His service in World War II, guys, Purple Heart veteran, a veteran of many different battles during World War II. I'm sorry, that was Ken Trinkle. This is Earl Johnson right here. But all kind of from that same set. And I maybe paid, $10 for each of those cards. There's a Jack Knott, Cecil Travis. These are players that people just don't really hear of. Cecil Travis, if you look at his stats, his stats are amazing. And the interruption of World War II, that is like one of the ultimate what if stories. What if he didn't miss all that time? Because his stats are all over the place. He was second the year that Ted Williams had the batting title where it was through the roof. He was second to that. So it's really eye-opening. Buddy Lewis, And then Steve Suchak, another one. These are all players, not everyday players, right? Dick Whitman. All battle guys that fought in the Battle of the Bulge. Maybe the most well-known one, Warren Spahn, right? Warren Spahn, as you can see, that is a graded card. I don't collect graded cards as a must. I don't need to have it graded. But why do I collect graded cards? Authentication and preservation. And honestly, that's kind of what it tells me in my assessment, in this hobby spectrum assessment, which was spot on. I love the way that they look. I want them to be protected, and I want to make sure that I'm buying something that's, real. So for me, that's a good indication of how I collect. And again, if you go into this Heroes of Wartime, and I haven't showed a lot of these cards on my channel, but like a Bob Rush, who, again, not a well-known, how about Lou Brissy? These guys all have incredible stories. Mickey Grasso, who was a POW in World War II. There are so many guys out there, and these aren't the most expensive cards on the planet. And I'm not looking for perfection in any of these either. You can see that one's way off center. I just really enjoy having that type of stuff in my collection. Now, we talked about superstars. Everyone does like to have superstars. I wanted a Sandy Koufax represented, and I was able to get this 56. So there's a second-year Koufax in a low grade, but the grade doesn't really bother me because I still think the card looks great. I actually get really happy when, people talk about a crash coming. I'm okay with that because that means I can get the cards that I want a little bit cheaper. That's good news for me, but that's not good news for everybody, right? Because there are a lot of people that have money invested in this, and they want it to be that type of investment to move it along. No one wants to see their cards lose value. But when I'm collecting what I collect, value is kind of just like secondary to me. I'm not really looking to pass these on as, an inheritance to my kids, but it is an inheritance, but it's the meaning behind it rather than the actual like monetary value behind it. Again, graded, don't have to go graded. I love going to the Mag Pros, right? I think a Mag Pro makes a card look great. And this is that Clemente that I just absolutely love. But as you can see, it's way off center. That doesn't really bother me. Still think it looks that way. And then history, right? Everybody knows this picture. Everybody knows this game of when this happened. This is $1 card, but I put it in a Mag Pro because I think it looks freaking awesome.
It's an awesome card.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like that's just kind of some of the ways that I collect. And now I'm at a point where I'm trying to finish off my list of the Battle of the Bulge guys, and not a lot of them have cards. There are some guys that serve that have stories that just don't have a lot of cards. So there's one thing that I haven't shown yet. I'm trying to track those items down to get the representation. And this just came in the mail the other day. This is not a Battle of the Bulge guy, but this is a World War II veteran with a really good story, highly decorated guy no one's ever heard of. And this is a Type 1 photo, just came in the mail, of Jake Jones, who played for the Boston Red Sox. I'll be doing a profile on him. It's my first Type 1 photo that I've ever gotten.
Wow.
So my collection is evolving, but it's not evolving, to try and get more value. It's really just trying to get those rarer items. And sometimes those rarer items come with a price, and I'm willing to pay for guys no one's ever heard of just because I want the item in my collection. So that's kind of, and even with the boxing, I talked about boxing just a minute. This 1938 Churchman set, this is a very reasonable set, and it has a ton of early boxers on it. And those cards are dirt cheap. But I love the images on them. I love the stories behind them. And that's kind of been a door that I've been, a rabbit hole, I guess, that I've been going down a little bit more and more lately. So I do believe that the assessment that I was given is perfect. It describes me perfectly when it comes to that. So I may not have the flashiest collection in terms of stars and, all that stuff, but I can tell you that the historical significance behind a lot of those players and the people that I collect is what I really value. So
there you go.
Awesome.
Rusty,
Yeah.
Did you want to go next, Rusty?
Sure.
Do you want me to bring up? I'll see if I can just real quick bring up your. Give me 2 seconds here. I'll bring up your result. Everyone, just kind of bear with me. Okay, so Let's see. Rusty, there you go. So this is Rusty's. Now this shows a little bit differently. If Rusty had pulled this up, it would look the same as how I pulled it up. But because I'm accessing it, it doesn't show me those detailed types of things. So there you go, Rusty.
All right. Yeah. So scored a 31, which is a precisionist. And this assessment, as I mentioned before, and same with what Jay said, I thought it was very accurate. One of the things that, as I read through this, that really stands out is the fact that I think of my collecting journey as curating a collection of cards that fit specific goals. So I have a plan, or it could be multiple plans, and I stick to that. And I really don't veer from the path too much. So I have some examples here that I can get into where I kind of dive into this. If you want to put me on the showcase.
There you go.
So my primary collecting project, it is one playing days of every Hall of Famer, or at least as many as I can get. When I first started this off, I was thinking, I may never touch a Hannes Wagner or some of those big names. But as I'm working through this, I'm finding, where I may be able to do that. But primarily the guys that I can get playing days cards of. I know a lot of the Negro League players; those are really tough.
Yeah.
So I haven't quite targeted those yet. The examples I have here to show, Topps and Bowman, those are, that's the core of my collection, are the Topps and Bowman cards, a lot of rookie cards and a lot of second year cards or third, fourth year cards. It's just depending on the decade, I kind of target a different goal with each decade. But what I pulled today are things that are a little bit different, just to focus on kind of a second part of that collecting project, which is as I'm collecting at least one playing days of every Hall of Famer, I also want to get a variety of sets within this project. So that means getting some of the food issues, some of the more, call it rare or just regional type sets. So those are some of the ones that I've pulled. So I'll go through these. And this is a Topps, the first one, but this is a 1975 Topps Mini of Gary Carter. So that's his rookie. We have call it an alternate rookie, 1961 post Ron Santo. We have, so I'm going 70s down, just some of the core vintage decades. We have a 1954 Dandy early win.
Very cool.
That's a cool set.
Yeah.
We have a let's see, here we go. Switch that up. 1954 Red Heart Mini Minoso. And I love the image on that card. And this card is a perfect example of really what I'm going after. It's all about the image for me. And card condition can vary. It doesn't have to be perfect. This one is a fantastic example of this card, but not everything I'm collecting is in a 6. I have a card in here that has a pinhole in it as I show these. So that type of those little details and those little character flaws, that doesn't bother me at all. And that actually kind of adds another wrinkle where I can collect a card with a pinhole. I can collect a card that's had tape on it. I can collect all the various things that you can find in vintage cards. I think that just adds character, and I kind of want to have an example of all of it. So 1952 Wheaties Bob Lemon. Here's the pinhole card. This is 1947 Bondbred Enos Country Slaughter.
Awesome.
And we've got a 1941 double play Pee Wee Reese rookie. This is something where, as I was picking this up, I like the play ball Pee Wee Reese rookie, but this is one that is much more affordable and cool looking card. So that's kind of a snapshot of that Hall of Fame run. there are a couple of other projects that I'll mention here. I collect Reggie Jackson cards, and I'm primarily going after the A's, the athletics cards that he has, his early cards. So I have a few little oddball cards here. This is 1970 Topps Reggie Jackson story booklet. We've got a 1971, get that to focus, 1971 Dell stamp.
Yep.
And here is a 1972 Kellogg's. And this was picked up at Strongsville last year. Jay, I think you might have been standing next to me when I got this one.
Yeah, there was a whole table full of those Kellogg's there.
Yeah.
I think I bought a couple too.
Daryl Strawberry. This was my first PC guy as a kid. So I have a few items here. This is the giant version. It's the top super of his rookie.
Wow, there you go.
We have a so the Daryl Strawberry run, which by the way, that's focused as well. I'm primarily collecting his rookie cards and earlier. So 1984, 1983, he has one 1982. But those are cards that I didn't have many of as a kid. So there are a lot of them. I mean, that was getting into the kind of the boom era, junk wax, whatever you want to call it. So he has a lot of cards during that era. So I'm just trying to go through the run. Here's a 1984. It's not a card. This is a 1984 Slurpee 3D disc.
Cool.
7-Eleven Slurpee, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
And this was a recent pickup. This is the 1984 Jackson Mets Smokey the Bear set.
Oh, wow.
So I got the whole set, and this was part of it. That's one of the more
really
rare
cool
cards from.
Yeah, I've never heard of that.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah, the backs are cool too. Yeah, just shows details. This was Jackson, Mississippi when he was on that team, that minor league team. And I have one example of, I mentioned I don't veer from the path very often, but occasionally I do. And I have an example of what I kind of go after whenever I'm doing that. So Jimmy Fox is a guy where I had already picked up the main card I wanted of him. And it's not that I don't want more Jimmy Fox cards. It's that I want to spread my dollars into getting the next guy on the list. So I'm not, unless it's a guy I want a PC, I'm really not focused on getting a lot of his cards. So I already had 2 Jimmy Fox cards. I went to a Tulsa card show last year that was probably 80% Pokemon, 10% modern, maybe 70% Pokemon, but it was mostly Pokemon, a little bit of modern, and then like 2 tables that had vintage. But within one of those vintage tables, I found a 1939 Wheaties panel. This is a Series 12. And this thing, I mean, it looks like it wasn't even cut out. It looks like a kid just ripped it off the box. But the character of it, I loved it. The image is great, and it cost $35. So that was an example of where I can pick up an awesome item for $35. Have something to remember that show, and just didn't break the bank. So if that was a $200 item, I probably wouldn't do that because I would put it toward the next guy on the list. So that's what
I think that we're kind of similar in that aspect. Once I get a guy that's checked off that list, I'm not really looking to add too many more cards unless it's Boog Powell. And a couple of the modern guys that I collect, or that I used to collect. I don't really collect them actively anymore, but I think that's the same thing. I would rather, if I can get a representation, just one, right, of somebody, I'll move on to the next person. So that's kind of where I stand on that too. Neal, let's see what we can do here. I'll go ahead and I'm going to put your score up here. Give me 2 seconds. Right. And so this is going to be Neal's score right here. Neal, why don't you go ahead and take it away?
Sure. Well, yeah. I was also a precisionist. I got a 32. And I was not really surprised, especially reading up, about the assessment and the results. And so on and so forth. It really hit the nail on a lot of the head. So I started collecting late 70s to early 80s was probably like the real start of it. You take breaks, and later on in the 80s in high school, and then the 90s, I just was out, college and starting a career after college, house, all that life stuff. And, but so one of the things about the archetype was with the precisionist was you're open to discovery. So, and it doesn't really, so you can change, you do sell at times, but not because the cards have risen in value and looking to cash out, but you're looking to buy something different. Because
Right.
what I've been focused, like kind of like Rusty, the thought of a Hall of Fame run, it's in the back of my mind. But I'm more of a player. Like there are certain players I have multiple cards of. Like this is like one of my favorite cards as a kid. I thought these combo cards from 81 Fleer were just fantastic. Actually, there's something over there, but I'm not. I got so many cards to show, so I won't even reach over. But like, it could be raw. I'm a big Pete Rose guy, but it could be graded. So it's about eye appeal. According to this, it's the precisionist. You're not just looking to accumulate as many cards as possible. You're kind of selective, and you are kind of focused, but you can shift it a little bit. I mean, is that what you got out of that, Rusty, as well, when you were
Yes.
reading? Yeah. And I'm not really concerned about value. I'm not concerned about comps. I know that has been talked about a lot. I'm concerned a little bit about comps when I'm going to buy something, but once I buy something and if it's in my collection, there are cards I haven't checked on what they're going for in 10 years, 20 years. Some cards, when I'm looking to move them because I see something else, like I just discovery, I think, is a big part of the precisionist thing of this a couple of years ago. This is just a Rawlings. It's not expensive, but to me, this is super cool. And when I find out about issues like this, and a lot of that is done through YouTube, because when I was a kid, internet didn't even exist. I don't even know if it was even a thought, in Al Gore's mind. But that's a joke. I don't know. So to me, it was like price guides. If the little information sometimes they provided or whatever that vintage dealer down at the flea market had, that's what I had available. So later on, late 90s, with the internet, you start discovering things. And I always wanted a Satchel Paige, but I couldn't afford the 49 Bowman. I thought that was a great image. It's a classic image. But I discovered about the team issues, but also something even more rare, which is the team issue postcard. There's
beautiful.
not a lot of these things. And I was able to, I got this about 2 years ago, got it graded myself. It's a postcard back. So
That's awesome.
yeah,
That's same image as his Bowman.
Right? Yeah.
Same image as the Bowman. Yep. And it was used in the team issue as well, which is a larger piece. And I do like oversized. I also like undersized. But as I learn about different types of issues, like I learned about this about 10 years ago, and it took me 8 years to find one. So, that's what I did. I mean, I was driven by a focus to find a particular card, and I have thought about doing the Hall of Fame run like you did, like you saw. But for me right now, it's more about the players and teams. Certain players I have multiple cards of, again, like not graded, but like Jay had pointed out, some cards to me are better to, or they don't deserve just to be in a binder or just a regular top loader. Put them in a Mag Pro. Like I love Pete Rose. So I have a lot of Pete Rose cards that are in these Mag Pros. Like to me, it's just the way to go about it. They're not worth getting graded. Most of my stuff is raw. But these Mag Pros, I do like slab cards, but these Mag Pros kind of fit the bill. This is one of my favorite. Probably my favorite year as a Phillies fan was 1980. So, but that's that. Yeah, and then like special cards, like my first ever vintage card purchase as a kid from a card shop, 75 Brooks Robinson. It's the only card I took out of my binder to put in one of these Mag Pros. So, it's just, but it was interesting. It was, I want to take the test again. I think we can do that in like 19, 20 days, just to kind of see if the score changes. I don't think the archetype will, but the score may change. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that I would think that this is a useful tool to take every couple of years because everybody evolves over time, right? Maybe there might be some tweaks. I'm not saying that I'll jump from a purist to a tycoon, but I might go further up the chain as a purist and start to maybe toe that line between purist and nostalgic. You know what I mean? And especially I think when people decide to downsize their collections, I think that there's probably some big change that happens there as well.
I mean, honestly, Jay, some of the things you were talking about and some of the videos I've watched of yours, I don't think there's a right or wrong, like from purist up through tycoon, but you were saying a lot of the stuff that Rusty and I think you might want to take it again.
Maybe at some point I will, but I would definitely suggest anybody out there that hasn't taken it, it's really eye-opening, or not, or just like makes you more comfortable in the fact that okay, I'm collecting this way, and then it gives you that like really detailed printout, and it kind of not justifies the way that you collect, but it kind of just gives you the reason why. Maybe you don't know why you collect the way that you do, but I think it's a really helpful tool. So kudos to Jeremy Lee for doing this, because it really, I think, is helpful. And I do think that the whole point of it was maybe to let everyone try and see how others collect. And it really is it is really cool. I enjoyed taking it, and I think it's a great idea. So
I think it can give you a little bit different perspective on other members of the community too, because you think, this person collects like me. He's probably, he could fit in the same archetype, or this person, I bet they fit into that category. It maybe helps us understand some of the differences in opinions that people have on certain subjects.
Yeah. And I think that this was pretty good. We only had the two different types, but you can see that we're all, it's still collecting and still enjoying collecting. It's still, purpose for all of us, just the way that we approach things and do things. So I really, again, enjoyed this. I think it's a good topic. I think it's for anybody that, again, and I've said it twice, 3 times, maybe, anybody that hasn't taken it, please take it. There's going to be a link in the description. But yeah, this was kind of like our first kind of go around with this. We'll try and hit a couple different topics next time, kind of keep it, short and sweet, and get some different perspectives on things. And, this was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You guys got anything you want to add?
For hosting.
Oh, no problem. Anything you guys want to add?
No.
All right.
Great job.
I'm good. Yeah.
All right. Well, I hope everybody enjoyed. Again, we'll put that link to the Hobby Spectrum down there. Probably a couple of videos, links to the videos. Probably John 3D80's kid, and we'll just check it out. Thanks for tuning in, and we had fun. I hope you guys did too.
Yep. See you guys.
Take care.